Do you want to know how to stay more productive while working full-time or with a full-time schedule? Stick around. That's what we're talking about in the podcast today, in my car. See you on the inside. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mike from the Songwriter's Planner. And as you can see, or if you are listening on podcasts right now, I am in my Jeep. I am on the freeway, I'm driving home, and I'm going to attempt to run this podcast doing two things at once. Do I recommend this? No. But I've put down a couple of podcasts now, and I'm kind of very comfortable with speaking. And the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, actually in my Jeep, I came up with the idea, so stick with me here, is it fits in with the theme of today's podcast. And that theme is how to stay productive even though you work a full-time job, or you're a full-time stay-at-home mom or dad, or you have a full schedule, or you just have so much going on. What are the things that you need to do to stay productive? And you may hear that clicking noise every now and then. That is my turn signal. So, but yeah, the reason why I wanted to do this is because what I'm doing right now fits into this theme. And as musicians and artists, you know, there's a lot of things that we do that we need to, you know, have full-time jobs. And like I was saying, you may be a stay-at-home parent. There's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of things that ask of your time. And in the real world, that's how it works. So how do you stay productive and do things like not just create and write music, but create content for your website, you know, stay on top of your social media, do your newsletters? How do you do all these things when you're just so busy and you feel like you're just not, all those things are just taking from you and you have to be creative or come up with ways to get new fans? I mean, how do you do that? Okay. Well, as you can see, or as you can hear if you're on podcast, I am in my Jeep. And what I wanted to share with you guys is that I work a full-time job. I actually do work a full-time job. I am in IT. I do computer programming. That has been my longtime gig. That's been my Bruce Wayne day gig. But I've been doing music forever as on the side and as it's my passion. So I do that as well. So doing these two things to me is very natural, and I'm sure it is for you. I mean, unless you're doing music full time and have been, that's awesome and great, you know. But at some point, all of us have probably had a job or have had something that requires most of our time of our day. And it can be challenging to try and stay productive. So I just wanted to share my experiences with you guys out there and a few things that I learned on how to keep being productive and being creative, even though you have a world of things going on, okay? So like I mentioned, I work full-time. I work full-time, 40 hours a week. Everything that I do for the Songwriter's Planner, everything that I do for my creative projects are all at night or on off hours, I should say, you know, on the weekends, at night. I don't know. I just figure out how to do that. And what I've found is that the way that you stay productive in a busy life or a busy schedule is to do just that, is to schedule ahead of time the things that you want to get done. What a schedule does for you is that it allows you to plan ahead the things that you want to get done, and so you don't have to worry about thinking about it at that moment. Because you may think of something like, oh man, I gotta update the website, or I gotta contact this person about this gig I want to play or something. And because it wasn't planned out, now you're like trying to scramble around and figure out how to get it done or how to fit these things into a busy schedule already. So for example, for me, I planned to do this podcast in the Jeep a couple days ago. I said, I need to get a podcast done this week. What is the best, the normal day that I usually do it, which is Mondays. I usually film my podcast on Mondays. I was unable to do it that day because I had something else come up. That's life, right? That's schedule. And I already knew that it was coming up. So I figured, okay, what is a way that I can still get my weekly podcast done, even though these things have come up or I have a full schedule this week? And I thought, well, why not do it in the car? I mean, for me, my ride home is at least a good 35, 40 minutes. And this is a great time to fit in content so that I stay productive and I stay on schedule and I stay consistent. That's really important, is staying consistent. Now, I apologize if the audio levels are really crappy in here. They probably are. Or if my lighting, if you're watching on YouTube and my lighting doesn't look that great, I'm sorry about that. But I'm dealing with, the environment. And, but the overall success is that I stay consistent with my content. And for you, thinking about ways that you can schedule ahead of time to get the things done that you need to do is what's key when you're trying to stay productive in a busy life, okay? So scheduling is really important. Staying on top of your schedule ahead of time is super important to stay productive. I say this a lot. Life will throw curveballs at you all the time, man. And having a backup plan, like this was a backup plan for me, and I'm really glad that I've been able to get this done, is kind of the game changer that makes you separate yourself from other people who don't plan ahead. The people that, say they're going to do something more, but when something falls through, they're unable to do it and they just kind of give up, all right? Staying on top, having a plan, having a schedule will keep you from falling into that trap and will keep you productive. And you don't have to have everything, you don't have to be perfect about it either. You can just keep working on your goals and the things you want to achieve slowly when you can make the time to do it, okay? So this brings me to my other point is find a workflow that works for you. If you are working 8 hours a day, right? That's 8 hours of your day. There's, you work from 8 to 5 or whatever. Even if you work the night shift, you can carve out 2 to 3 hours out of your day and still get everything you need to be done and to be productive. You can stay up till, work on your music or whatever you need to get done from 8 to 12 or from 7 to 10 or from 7 to 9. It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you, whatever schedule works for you is what you need to find and find that groove. Okay, for me, because I work from 8 to 5 every day, the work that I do on the Songwriter's Planner usually occurs at night. And sometimes I'm up till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, editing podcasts or working on my creative projects, my other musical projects. But that's the time of the day or the night that is available to me. There isn't more hours in the day. There's not 26 hours, it's 24 hours. And you need to get some sleep. But I think that if you look at your day in a way that you can be productive on those off times when you're not working, you kind of change your mindset and say, yeah, I can do this, I can do it. And all you got to do is try it once. Go to work, come back home, schedule time to work on your music and do it all week long. And you'll be amazed at the productivity that you'll get out of yourself. Now, I'm not saying, this isn't specifically saying I want you to go out and write a song every day. Creativity is creativity, and it hits us from time to time, and sometimes it's just not there. But the beautiful thing about being a productive artist is that you don't have to always work on your music. You don't have to always write your next biggest song, okay? That sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. But there are a million other things that you could be doing. A million other things. And, I talk about that in my podcasts and in my blog all the time about what other things you can do as an artist to help build your fan base. So in my mind, and maybe you feel differently, but there really is no excuse for not being able to do at least one thing every day, minimum one thing every day that helps get you closer to your goal. Now, that one thing a day may not be the biggest thing. It may be a small thing. And then the next day you may do a big task. But getting at least one thing done is possible. And what that does is it helps you make progress. You feel progress when you do that and when you make that a priority. So that is one of the things I wanted to talk about is find a schedule that works for you so that you can be more productive on those days, okay? Now, let's talk about ways you can still create and be productive. Say if you're working or, if you got kids or if you're just tied up with something that's going on. The best thing that I like to do is obviously everybody has a phone. You always have your phone with me. phone with you. And of course, I bring along my planner. I bring along a way to take notes. And if I have 5 minutes of break, 5 minutes, I will make sure that I jot my ideas down on paper because I have everything right there. Or your phone, just write it down on your phone. I'm pretty sure a lot of people use their phone for lyric ideas or just ideas and note taking in general. Super, super essential to do that because you never know when you're going to come up with a great idea, whether it be an idea for a song or an idea to expand your fan base, whatever it is. Come up with a cool flyer. What if you have the minimum resources around you to write it down and to remember it, or to start even working on it? That will make you closer. That'll get you more productive than if you didn't have these things or weren't prepared for them. Okay. Another cool thing that I like to endorse is on your phone. There's so many apps out there where you can download a piano app, download a cool guitar app, and it's just like these little apps that allow you to mimic playing a guitar or playing a bass. And if you have one of those on your phone already, awesome. Also voice recording, you could do voice recording, and I'm using my phone right now to record this audio, and it's an app on my phone. I use it all the time. These tools that we can have on our phone, these apps are awesome because say you have a 15-minute break at work, right? And you have a piano app on your phone. It's so cool to just be able to play with different riffs and stuff and kind of just tune out from your job for a second and try writing some new riffs. I've done that before. I do it all the time. And as long as you come up with the idea, that's getting you somewhere, and you're maximizing. It's all about maximizing your time. So when you do sit down in the studio, when you do sit down with someone and start collaborating on stuff, you have ideas, or you have vocal ideas that you've saved on your phone. You've recorded yourself talking or singing. All those things are great to do. You got your notepad, you got your songwriter's planner or a lyric book with you. You can write down these things. Just keep them with you all the time. And it just makes you more productive. Find the time to write these ideas down, have the tools with you. Now that's on the creative side. That's if you're doing the creative thing. On the planning side, if you're busy doing planning for, say, your next show or your new album, keep these tools are so useful because what you can do is write down ideas. You got a big show coming up, write down that you got to contact the club. You write down that you got to contact the light guy because you want awesome lights at your next gig, or the PA system. Stay organized and write them down as soon as you can, because it'll help keep you on top of what your goals are. It's just a great habit to get into. And it took me a little while to figure that out. I mean, I would come up with these ideas, but I just was not prepared to write them down and put them in stone, I guess. And I'd be stuck at the end of the day going, God, I remember I needed to do something here. What was it that I needed to do? And I would forget. As soon as I started writing things down and keeping a tablet with me at the time, I found that I became more productive because I was writing these things down and I was able to get them done. Finding time, even though the time to do it may not be ideal. You may be on a break at work, you may be in the car like me. Even though the timing may not be ideal, it's still a valid time to do the things that you want to do to stay productive. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to stay consistent with it, and that's the most important thing. All right, so we talked about something to do every day. This is really this message of me sitting in my car in rush hour traffic, podcasting to you guys. And if you're tuning in and if you're checking this out, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys checking out these podcasts. I will continue to do these kinds of things as long as you guys are listening to it. So that's really cool. But the key message that I want to portray is that you have to find a way to turn what you're passionate about into productivity and be consistent with it. That is the only way that over time you're going to start getting traction, is being consistent with the things that you need to do to achieve your goals and be productive. Implement your ideas. That's key. That's the only thing that you need to remember is to keep implementing your ideas. Don't stop doing it. Don't get discouraged if one of your ideas fail, because you will fail. Everybody fails at things. But to be consistent at it is what's going to separate you from the pack. That's what's going to separate you from the artist that isn't doing those things. The artist that feels they don't need to put out content. They just, you're going to separate yourself from the people who aren't working as hard as you. It is the classic tale of there is a ton of talent out there. Tons of talent, okay? There are millions of, or hundreds of thousands of awesome musicians and artists out there who are talented. But what's going to separate you from everybody else is hard work and being consistent with the work that you're putting in for your dreams of music. That is the difference. That is why I podcast from a Jeep. That is why you can podcast from your car, or that is why you can work on riffs during your lunch break on your phone app. It's little things like that are going to separate you from everybody else over time, and eventually you'll start reaching the goals that you've set for yourself. Where we fail is where we give up. And if you give up, you have zero chance of reaching your goals or living your dreams. You have zero chance. Don't give up. Another thing is that if you keep quitting at the things that you're trying, whether it's trying to create content or whatnot, or that video you put out just didn't do anything, if you keep quitting, then you always have to keep starting over. And starting over many times is a momentum killer. If you don't like starting over, then don't quit what you're doing. It's pretty simple. Even with adversity, when adversity comes, just keep going. Me personally, I had a personal challenge from myself, and it took the wind out of my sails. Like, it just kind of polarized me, and I said, but if I stop creating content and I stop doing what I believe in, which is serving musicians and being passionate about music and creating my own music, if I stop, then I have no chance of getting the things that I want in my life. Even though I'm down, even though I'm depressed, even though I'm struggling, I have no creative ideas, I cannot come up with ideas for content, just keep working at it, because it will come, and it may come a little bit slower, but in times of challenge, just keep doing what you think you need to do to stay on track. And that is also from a personal lesson from me. And I'm glad that I've been able to stay on schedule, and I hope that inspires you to keep doing on what you want to do, whether that's writing more music, working on your album, building a studio, whatever you're doing out there that supports your art, stick with it. If you truly believe in it, in your passion, stick with it, because it's super, super important. And sticking with it and staying with it and being consistent, no matter what your environment, no matter what your variables, no matter what your challenges, is what is going to separate you from everybody else. And that's what you want. You want to be separated. You want to separate yourself. There are a lot of people out there, and this is true for everybody. There are a lot of artists out there that sound like you. There are a lot of guitar players that play like you. There are a lot of people that are better than you. Okay, there are people out there that are better than me, better drummers than me, better songwriters than me. But what's going to separate you is how much work are you going to put in, because that is the number one thing you can control, is your work ethic. Okay, and that literally makes the difference. So I don't know if I've said that enough or hammered that in too much, but that's kind of embodies the theme of today's podcast. All of you who are listening on audio, I wish you could see this awesome scenery of me riding in my Jeep on the freeway in Phoenix. No, really, you're not missing anything. So maybe this is the episode you want to just do the audio on. I don't know. But I'm just glad I was able to get this out to you guys. I'm really, really grateful and thankful for you watching these podcasts. And like I said earlier, I will continue to do them. And yeah, that is about it. Appreciate your time, guys, and I will see you at the next podcast, probably back in my studio, but we'll see. Maybe this is fun. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace and love. We'll see you at the next one.